In a world of secrets, there are two agents. Jeri, watch out! Two special agents that have formed an agency in over 32 countries. You see, whoever controls the flow of information controls everything. Why can't we the people have our own intelligence agency? We the People Intelligence Agency. It's a global network of people trying to find the truth. Two congressional award-winning filmmakers and investigative reporters, Edmund Druilhet and Jeri Rice, and we have Jeri Rice.
I smell a rat.
Combine forces to expose the lying media and government degenerates. Edmund you've seen on ABC, NBC, Fox New York.
And Paul Cohen. Welcome to the show.
Insider.
So you'll hide right now. What we got?
And much more. Even the Joker told me the boat needs to be rocked.
Let's tip it over.
Like an alligator.
I don't want to rock the boat.
If you smile,
but the boat needs to
Fucking rock. Jeri Rice you've seen slugging out with world leaders from Cuba to Israel. She is on the train.
Robert Kennedy Jr. That I was really taken back by the.
Boy, do we have a story for you.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
talking to me? What?
Okay, what is it? Like, I'm gonna have like a plug in my head that's gonna fit into a hard drive? Like, or how does that work?
Yeah. A chip and a bunch of tiny wires.
This would be implanted surgically, and it would do what? Could you download Jim?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What?
This is the new normal.
The PIA studios are now in London, Paris, New York, Shanghai. We can be found all over the internet. Of the people, by the people, and for the people.
What about propaganda?
What's next? What's happening now?
We want you. Become a People's Intelligence Agent today. Join the PIA today. Broadcasting live from a deep underground, undisclosed location. The thunder from down, and we want you.
Welcome to another episode of the People's Intelligence Agency, where you give us information, you do the research, you get out in the streets, bring us data, and we connect the dots.
Shouldn't the people be intelligent too?
You know, thinking's an idea whose time has come. They're trying to take over the world. What do you think?
I think if they come to my door to try to chip me and dip me and inject me with a vaccine, it's not going to be a good day.
What? Oh.
For anybody.
No.
For anybody. And everybody has to be aware of it right now. And that's why we're here.
That's right. So, first caller. Can we take a caller now?
You're patched in. The Daily Show. Stand by.
Okay. No.
What is your most hopeful time frame for how long we have to live the way we are now?
Well, there's two ways out. One is if we get miracle therapeutics that are greater than 95% cure rate. We can't count on that. And the other is a vaccine that's highly effective that we get out to the world population.
Vaccines are good, okay?
Stephen Colbert, we're here today to ask you a few questions. What do you think about Bill Gates?
You're really starting to annoy me, and it's just not pleasant. It's really, for me, it's not fun. Okay, stay in your house and shut up. Just shut your hole. Okay, this will help. This will be the way that the Bill Gates Foundation works. You talking to me? What?
You talking?
I think that you can understand. I'm a Rockefeller. Okay, and my daddy was a Rockefeller. My granddaddy. You get where I'm going with this? Okay.
Bill Gates' ninth great-grandfather, in other words, 12 generations back in time, was Stephen Gifford. This gentleman had two children, Hannah and Samuel Gifford. Hannah's family line leads us 10 generations down the line to Bill Gates, while Samuel Gifford's family line takes us 7 generations into the future to none other than Nelson Rockefeller, the 41st Vice President of the US. They belong to the same family. The Rockefellers, whose tentacles of power reach deep in every medical branch, from universities to the FDA, and our Microsoft Bill Gates all come from the same nest.
Well, Jerry, look, Bill Gates Sr. with his cousins. Rockefeller, sorry-ass Soros the Nazi, and Ted Turner, he gave us 24-hour news. Propaganda. Okay, Jerry, let's look at a document. This is from the Rockefeller Foundation. This is Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. This is script writing in advance of creating the realities that are being created for us. Now, this is authored by the president of the Rockefeller Foundation, Judith Rodin.
In this time of great dynamism and change, there is increasing need for focus on how to build resilience in the face of uncertainty.
This document is also authored by Peter Schwartz. He's a futurist. This guy's from the Scenario Planning for New Age Customer Experience.
I'm Peter Schwartz. I'm the Senior Vice President for Strategic Planning. Mark Benioff calls me the Chief Future Officer. Scenario planning is a set of tools for thinking about the future and dealing with uncertainty. It's a way of exploring the possible futures to make better decisions today.
Okay, now let's break this document down.
In 2010, the deep state had the Rockefeller Foundation script a plan to introduce martial law and a permanent method for total control of the citizenry. In this plan that they disguised as an academic scenario, as they called it, the method they would use to gain complete prison-like control of the entire population was to infect them with a devastating biological pandemic, and then, under the guise of protecting us from this threat, they would be free to implement their final solution, a prison state. The prison state that they need to keep their grip on power. As usual, the fascists disguise their crimes as helping us, and as is typical of this new type of fascism, they always make the claim that we the people are begging them to have more and more control over us. As you watch this video, remember that the deep state concocted this scheme in 2010 as a quote-unquote simulation of what is to come. The following is proof that the deep state is behind these viral pandemics. Absolutely positively, pandemics are now the tool of choice for the fascists, known as the deep state, and the private contractors that they contract these pandemics out to. For the deep state, to make an international pandemic isn't even a high-tech operation, it's a no-tech operation. It's easy. A simple vial of Ebola, SARS, MERS, Spanish flu, or coronavirus, or whatever they come up with in their secret bioweapons lab, is all they need to bring the world into their total control. The only thing you have to remember is if they can do it, they will do it, which means they already have done it.
Let's bring on Mestina Ashley, an amazing American and a brilliant agent.
Line 3, you're on.
We're going to go ahead and look at that document that was released 10 years ago, 2010, that openly states different scenarios that could feasibly lead to the technologically controlled world that they want to see become reality. They, in this case, are those behind the Rockefeller Foundation, which, by the way, is the same group that seeded not only the United Nations, but as well the World Health Organization. That name sound familiar? Yeah, that same group who is right now responsible for advising governments, the same group who is helping shape the recommendations and rules that you, right now, are being forced to obey.
Okay, stop 1 second. The same rules were implemented on us in 1918, the Spanish flu, by Dr. Fauci. He was Washington State Health Commissioner. Sound familiar? Look familiar? It was said that there was a connection with the vaccine and the military. Yep, seems to be the same script. In Seattle, churches and public gatherings were closed. Citizens could also be fined for not wearing a mask on the streetcar.
Dr. Fauci and bats, China, woo!
The same group that Trump was apparently listening to when he signed an executive order on Friday, March the 13th. That essentially handed this country over to FEMA on a platter. That's another story. Let's get back to this document. This document is called The Scenarios for the Future of Technology and International Development. At the moment, it is available online. If you just put that phrase in along with PDF, you can download it. The stated purpose of the document was to explore the many ways in which technology and development could co-evolve. They claim in order to, quote, address a wide range of developmental challenges from climate change, healthcare, agriculture to housing, transportation, and education. Oh, is that all? As an aside, when you understand that this organization's original founder, Rockefeller, also benefited most from the big oil monopoly that systematically destroyed not only environments, but as well other forms of healthcare that did not utilize their patented petrol-based pharma products, I do hope you can understand the irony of them now claiming they want to fix the healthcare and climate. But more on that later. The scenarios they present in this document would bring about what they understand to be the very important global, political, and economic alignment that they say will be for the good of us all. Well, let's take a look and see if we, the people, agree with that. The first scenario they explore is called lockstep. You will find this on page 18 of this document. It elaborates much further on the scenario that they explore in order to know what the future might look and feel like, as they say.
Mark Benioff calls me the Chief Future Officer.
Now, they describe this scenario in past tense, but do not be deceived. Remember, this was released in 2010. Here are some excerpts. Now, the subtitle to the whole lockstep scenario that they describe says, a world of tighter, top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership. With limited innovation and growing citizen pushback.
It's not going to be a good day.
What? Oh.
For anybody.
No.
So understand that they know that the citizen pushback is what they will be instigating. They're very well aware of that. Remember, this was written in 2010. It says, the pandemic that the world had been anticipating for years finally hit. Unlike 2009's H1N1, it was extremely virulent and deadly. Even the most pandemic-prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed. The pandemic also had a deadly effect on economies. Now remember, why is it having an economic impact? Why? Is it from the virus itself that we now know is on par with the seasonal influenza? Or is it because of the rules that very organization has imposed as a result of what they said?
Okay, stop, hold that thought. Stand by. Let's bring back Harry Vox. Line 3.
You can see the agenda, just naked, raw, naked control agenda written down, and it's anybody's guess how this becomes effectuated in real life. So whether this is written specifically as marching orders or whether people take it upon themselves in the intelligence networks to say, okay, well, this has been produced, so this is the plan here. But these narratives have to be written in advance because the intelligence agencies don't know how to do these narratives. They need help. So these think tanks, they come up with these like Rand Corporation, Rockefeller Foundation. These are think tanks of death. They're not the think tanks, they're not there to find great ways to help people. Right? Okay, the pandemic also had a deadly effect on economics. International mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt. Which is what they want. They want a completely isolated world, right? Debilitating industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. Well, of course they want tourism stopped because they're not in the tourism business. And they want you at home in your house in front of the TV. Then they got you. Because once you watch the TV, they own your soul.
Stay in your house and shut up.
Even in developed countries, containment was a challenge, right? That's how they want to portray it in the media that they also control.
I remember the videos Americans shot and went around and shot at hospitals showing they were faking it.
However, a few countries did far better. China, in particular. The Chinese government quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as its instant and near hermetic sealing off of all borders, saved millions of lives, they say, stopping the spread of the virus far earlier than in other countries. Says China's government was not the only one that took extreme measures to protect its citizens from risk and exposure. During the pandemic, national leaders around the world flexed their authority and imposed airtight rules and restrictions, from the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks at the entries to communal spaces like train stations and supermarkets. Are we seeing this? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, they're using drones to take your temperature as far away as Saudi Arabia.
Even after the pandemic faded, y'all, listen to this. This more authoritarian control and oversight of citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified.
Who told you?
Leaders around the world took a firmer grip on power. Again, this is what they want to see happen.
You never know. This could take a long time for people to stay at home. That directive goes into force and effect this evening.
At first, the notion of a more controlled world gained wide acceptance and approval. Right here in America, I would agree. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy, even eager for top-down direction and oversight, and national leaders had more latitude to impose order in the ways they saw fit. In developed countries, this heightened oversight took many forms. Biometric ID for all citizens.
Let's see a clip from our good friend Aaron Russo, who knew the Rockefellers personally.
Line 3.
I met Rockefeller through a female attorney I knew who called me up one day and said, one of the Rockefellers would like to meet you. I had made a video called Mad as Hell. Instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
For example, and tighter regulation of key industries. Keep your eye on the food, guys, because that's the one they really want to take down, in my opinion.
Okay, let's stop it right here. Let's pull up that clip where we have a Rockefeller wife. Yes, we have Melinda Gates being interviewed in England about the food.
We had issues in the UK here with people, panic shopping and doing that sort of thing. But how does a couple like you who've got this insight, how do you begin?
Insight? You better believe they got insight. They're Rockefellers.
Well, a number of years ago, we had talked about, what if there wasn't clean water? What if there wasn't enough food? Where might we go? What might we do as a family? So I think we should leave those preparations to ourselves. But absolutely.
We want you to tell us, Melinda. People's Intelligence Agency would love to know.
Tighter regulation of key industries was deemed vital for national interests. Enforced cooperation with a suite of new regulations and agreements slowly but steadily restored both order and, importantly, economic growth. Remember, one of the main proponents of this whole thing that we're seeing speak out is Bill Gates. And what is he saying that we need to do before order and economic growth can come back, before we can go and hang out in groups again? What is he saying that we need to do?
For the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
Really? What do you think of that?
Now that's a good question.
That's a good point.
Do you see this biometric ID for citizens? And what is Bill Gates saying needs to happen in order for us to get that sort of thing? Not that any of us actually want it. It goes on to say, in the developed world, the presence of so many top-down rules and norms greatly inhibited entrepreneurial activity. Scientists and innovators were often told by governments what research lines to pursue. Isn't that interesting? Do they not want us to pursue the lines of research that would prove their entire narrative was based on lies?
Obviously not.
Research that would show the truth about this virus?
They're going to try.
They're going to tell us what we can research. Scientists, wake up, speak out. It goes on to say later on, people seem to be growing weary of so much top-down control and letting leaders and authorities make choices for them. Wherever national interests clashed with individual interests, there was conflict. Sporadic pushback became increasingly organized and coordinated as disaffected youth and people who had seen their status and opportunities slip away largely in developing countries, incited civil unrest. Even those who liked the stability earlier on began to grow uncomfortable and constrained by so many tight rules and by the strictness of national boundaries. The feeling lingered that sooner or later something would inevitably upset the neat order that the world's governments had worked so hard to establish. Well, I believe that, in fact, this disorder that they are fully admitting is a part of the plan is what they will utilize to come in later and propose the ultimate order that they want to see. The citizen pushback is a part of this very title of this thing that they have created. They know this is going to happen, and they are going to use this to their complete and total advantage. Some of the headlines in Lockstep, it talks about quarantine restricts in-person contact. It also says intercontinental trade hit by pathogen controls. We're already seeing this in the media where they're saying that they're going to have to do that as a result of saving us from the infection rates, right? The infection rates that dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of virologists and people who have done microbiology their entire life are saying this is not even possible. It doesn't matter as long as people believe that it's possible. In the bottom, it talks about the technology in Lockstep, and this is what they really want to bring in as a result of this disorder that they are causing by destroying our very ability to take care of ourselves through our small business. Technology in Lockstep says, the scenarios point to the development of certain kinds of technologies. Technological innovation in Lockstep is largely driven by government issues of national security of health and safety. So you can be sure that when they ask you to take an SHOT, it will be absolutely your duty as a matter of national security and health and safety of everyone around you, just in the same reason that they have caused people to run around with masks for everyone else's safety. Otherwise, you're being a bad person and you need to be turned in by your neighbor, which is also what they are encouraging. Shaped by government's dual desire to control and monitor their citizens. It's all about control. Technology we might see. Scanners using advanced functional magnetic resonance imaging become the norm at airports and other public interests to, get this guys, detect abnormal behavior that might indicate antisocial intent. Even more importantly than understanding, and isn't it interesting that this is like a tidal wave? A tidal wave that comes out of the heart of the zeros and ones that is a representative of technology itself. They make no bones about telling you exactly what they intend to do. While these ultimate plans and ability to use technology to extinguish the dissidents and control who is left seems incomprehensible.
That's right out of the deck of the Illuminati playing cards. The creator predicted everything.
To those of us listening to a God-given conscience.
He was one of them.
But the gift in this grand, bold chess move at the hands of the elite.
And what we mostly talk about now in our home every night is how lucky we are. We understand our privilege.
Is that many more will begin to comprehend the depths of their evil, as well as the fact that a new world
order, yep,
really was their ultimate goal after all.
You got it.
A man named Walter Cronkite was the face of the perception-creating media for almost an entire generation in America.
You bet he did.
It was in our movie, Once Upon a Time Traveler in Hollywood.
He worked out of a secret military base in Laurel Canyon. Walter Cronkite. He created propaganda.
Well, here, in one of our projection rooms, let's have a seat and take a brief look at some of our typical accomplishments. Newscaster Walter Cronkite introduced and narrated another of our films.
Well, the moon landing didn't go so well.
For man, one giant leap.
Oh, shit!
So, I guess you want to do it again.
Yep, shoot it again.
And the moon landings all were fake. And I was the person who filmed it.
You're serious and okay.
I'm serious, I'm dead serious.
Through the Vietnam War, through the murder of JFK, and through putting men on the moon. When he later received his gift of excellence from the World Federal Association, they said this:
World government is the structure necessary for global justice.
Good evening and congratulations, Walter.
For more than a generation in America, it wasn't the news until Walter Cronkite told us it was the news. For decades, you've told us the way it is.
You, sir, have been a lifelong advocate of this principle, and it is appropriate, therefore, that we present you with this amethyst geode.
First priority of humankind in this difficult era is to establish an effective system of world law that will assure peace with justice among the peoples of all the world. First, we Americans are going to have to yield up some of our sovereignty. That's going to be, to many, a bitter pill. It would take a lot of courage, a lot of faith, a lot of persuasion to them to come along with us on this necessity. Pat Robertson has written in a book a few years ago that we should have a world government, but only when the Messiah arrives. He wrote, any attempt to achieve world order before that time must be the work of the devil. Well, join me. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan. I'm glad to sit here at the right hand of Satan.
These people admit their allegiance because it is required. And Bill Gates, Microsoft, also admitted theirs when, in the time of all this chaos, they released their promotion of an artist well known to partake in satanic rituals on the day that is known to represent the day Jesus was crucified. God gave us all free will, even to those who are currently misusing it, and it is their God that is seeking to remove your free will from you in the name of peace and safety.
I, for one, am going to draw the line. It's a revolution of the mind.
You know, thinking's an idea whose time has come.
It is a conspiracy. It is no theory.
In a world of secrets, there are two agents. Jeri, watch out! Two special agents that have formed an agency in over 32 countries. You see, whoever controls the flow of information controls everything. Why can't we the people have our own intelligence agency? We the People Intelligence Agency. It's a global network of people trying to find the truth. Two congressional award-winning filmmakers and investigative reporters, Edmund, Druilhet, and Jeri Rice, and we have Jeri Rice.
I smell a rat.
Combine forces to expose the lying media and government. Edmund, you've seen on ABC, NBC, Fox New York.
Druilhet and Paul Cohen. Welcome to the show.
Insider.
So you'll hide right now. What we got?
And much more. Even the Joker told me the boat needs to be rocked.
Let's tip it over.
Like an alligator.
I don't want to rock the boat.
If you
But the boat needs to be
Fucking rocked. Jeri Rice, you've seen slugging out with world leaders from Cuba to Israel. She is on the trail.
Robert Kennedy Jr. I was really taken back by the...
Boy, do we have a story for you.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
Talking to me? What?
Okay, what is it? Like I'm gonna have like a plug in my head that's gonna fit into a hard drive? Like, or how does that work?
Yeah. A chip and a bunch of tiny wires.
This would be implanted surgically, and it would do what? Could you input? Could you download Jim?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is the new normal.
The PIA studios are now in London, Paris, New York, Shanghai. We can be found all over the internet. Of the people, by the people, and for the people.
What about propaganda?
What's next? What's happening now? We want you. Become a People's Intelligence Agent today. Join the PIA today. Broadcasting live from a deep underground, undisclosed location. The thunder from down, we want you.